Once upon a time, in a peaceful village surrounded by green fields and tall trees, there lived a humble farmer named Bola. He was a kind man, always smiling and helping others. Every morning before sunrise, Bola would take a handful of grains from his storage and scatter them in the open field near his house. The grains were for the birds. Dozens of birds came flying every morning, sparrows, doves, and even little crows. They chirped happily, pecking at the grains. Bola watched them with joy in his eyes. It became a daily routine. People in the village admired his kindness and called him Bird Brother. One day, a wealthy traveler came to the village. He saw Bola spreading grains on the ground and laughed. "What a waste," the traveler said. "You feed these useless birds every day. They give you nothing in return. If you stopped, they would die. You are their only hope." Bola smiled and said nothing, but standing nearby was an old sage. He had been watching quietly and now walked up to the traveler. With a calm voice, the sage said, "You are wrong, my friend. The birds don't survive because of Bola. Bola gives with love, but it is the Almighty who provides for all living things. Bola is just a small part of a much bigger plan." The traveler scoffed. "We'll see about that." He turned to Bola and said, "If you really think you are not important, then stop feeding them tomorrow. Let's see if your God takes care of them." Bola was troubled. The sage's words had touched his heart, but the traveler's challenge made him curious too. So, the next morning, for the first time in years, Bola did not scatter the grains. The birds came as usual. They flew around the field, chirping and searching for food, but the ground was empty. Bola stood behind his door, watching silently. The next day, the birds returned again. This time, they looked more tired. Some flew lower, slower. Still, Bola did not feed them. Days passed. The field, once filled with happy chirping, was now quiet. The birds looked weak. Bola's heart ached. He missed the sound of their wings, the fluttering joy they brought. On the fifth day, a strange thing happened. A group of village children ran into Bola's house, excited. "Uncle Bola, come quickly! You have to see this!" Bola followed them outside and saw a beautiful sight. The birds were gathered in the village square, eating grains, not just a few, but piles of them. The villagers had started feeding the birds themselves. Inspired by Bola's habit, they didn't want the birds to starve. Bola's eyes filled with tears. The sage appeared again and said, "Do you see now? Love spreads like light. When you give from the heart, others are touched. You were not their only hope. You were the beginning of hope." Bola folded his hands and said humbly, "I now understand. I was never the one keeping them alive. I was just lucky to be part of something greater." From that day on, Bola continued feeding the birds, not out of pride, but with deep gratitude. The birds returned, the village joined him, and the fields were once again filled with happy songs. True kindness is not about being the only one who helps. It's about giving with love and knowing we are part of something bigger. When we give selflessly, our actions inspire others, and the goodness multiplies.